You're listening to the NFL Draft Bible Podcast Network, part of Sports Illustrated, giving you daily NFL Draft, Dynasty, and Devy Fantasy Football podcasts.
Class is in session. Welcome into the draft seminar presented by Sports Illustrated's NFL Draft Bible Podcast Network. I'm your host, Matt Hicks, the FF Educator, joined as always by my co-host, John Lobb, the Gridiron Scholar. And John, this is an intriguing prospect that we have to talk about on this episode. He's a favorite of many. It's Rhamondre Stevenson out of Oklahoma.
I'm amazed at how many people really like Rhamondre Stevenson. I'm not one of those who have to acquire him on my Dynasty rosters. He was a 4-star JUCO prospect, and he blossomed in his second season. Matt, he was incredible. He rambled for over 2,000 yards, and he eventually signed with Oklahoma. What's amazing, in 2019, the Sooners had a locker room with Stevenson and Trey Sermon in it. So both these young men got on the field. He played in 13 games, Stevenson, and he rushed for 515 yards, and he scored 6 touchdowns. Unfortunately, at the close of the campaign, at the Peach Bowl, the NCAA suspended him for failing a drug test, and that suspension bled into the 2020 season. So for the first 5 games, we didn't even get to see him on the field for Oklahoma, and he ended up only playing in 6 last year. He paced the team in rushing with 665 and totaled 7 touchdowns. In the Big 12 championship game versus Iowa, he was outstanding, 18 carries for 97 yards. But what put him on the radar, I think, for NFL scouts, fantasy draft nicks like ourselves, in that Cotton Bowl game against Florida. I sat down. He was tremendous. 18 carries for 186 yards and a touchdown. And you just saw the physicality and the power. I will say this. We ended up learning he was 5'11", 231 pounds. He looked bigger on film. And he was very athletic. And you see in the picture there, he's jumping over defenders. So I was really impressed with him at the close of the season. Matt, what does your film assessment say of the Super Sooner?
Yeah, he's interesting, John. I mentioned, he's a fan favorite. I think we have a more realistic outlook here on him. I have his projection as a taxi squad stash. I think he's a guy who it's fine to add him to your rosters if you are excited about Rhamondre Stevenson. I don't expect to personally have probably him on any of my fantasy football rosters. But when it comes to his game, John, it's got to start with his strength. He has good contact balance. He's definitely projects to be a goal line type back at the next level. You could see him at times just swiping defenders off of him and running the ball downfield. And that I know is what gets folks excited. I actually think, John, he's a really a decent pass catcher. I think he can be reliable in the pass game. Oklahoma dropped him, passes in the flat. Nothing special, but he has reliable hands. If you put it on target, he's going to catch it. And he's also very comfortable running with the ball in his hands after the catch. He's able to kind of flip quick after that catch and turn upfield and get that big body moving. I think he's really, reliable in pass protection. We talk about that being an important trait to stay on an NFL roster. He's got a wide base. He's light on his feet. He's got a nice anchor when he is in pass protection. But past that, John, there's a lot of question marks. I mean, the next highest grade I have for him, everything I've mentioned is above 80. This one is 74. It's his speed. He's not fast. He's very slow to the edge. Now, he can get going. If you watch some highlights, he'll look fast because once he gets chugging downfield in the wide open space that the Oklahoma offensive line creates, he can barrel some guys over. But, John, I think he lacks explosiveness. He looks slow off the line of scrimmage for me. And I have I have real trouble watching him and finding examples of when he creates his own space with his vision. I think he's got really spotty vision as well. So I do think his upside is limited at the next level, despite the fact that, John, and we're going to see as we flip on the film, there are some examples of him being a really fun back to watch.
Oh, it's been a pleasure watching him. Let's check it out.
All right, here we go. And as always, provided by Brandon Lejeune, Devy Deep Dive on YouTube and Twitter. And we're going to see here, again, you can see he's slow off the line of scrimmage, but that contact balance is going to save him. And he's able to get to the edge with some nice blocking and get this touchdown here in the first play. And running it back against Kansas, again, it's slow. He actually gets caught up to it, but he is able to break 4 Kansas Jayhawk tackles. That's probably a hold, by the way, on 14 to get him those extra few yards.
But you do see his contact balance, his power. He has underrated vision, and I do like his determination. I mean, I understand when people watch these highlights, what gets them so excited, and he just does look like a much bigger player than all these people are watching on the film. Here's some plays against Florida in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, and you could see, a little bit of burst there, but he's going to get caught up to by defensive backs and probably linebackers at the next level as well. So, John, one of the things that we have to do, we don't just look at how good of a college player somebody is. We have to project out to how good of an NFL pro they are. And I think that's where we get caught with Rhamondre Stevenson. And John, another place I think we're going to get caught with Rhamondre Stevenson is looking at his production profile, because we have a very limited sample size to work with.
Yeah, the first thing you have to do, Matt, is understand that he played at the JUCO level. So when you look at the production, then the suspension. So when you combine the two, you're not looking at a large sample size. The numbers are not going to be there, but there are some numbers that are surprising. Matt, 7.2 yards a carry. Granted, he's in the defensively challenged Big 12. So you do see a lot of these Big 12 running backs with large average yards per carry numbers. But that's a nice, healthy number. 28 receptions. You had mentioned it. He's not going to get down the field. He's not running patterns. But if you put him out in the flat, you put up a screen game, he's going to catch it and he's going to go upfield with it. 13 touchdowns. This year, Oklahoma, his yards from scrimmage were 876, and his scrimmage yards dominator were 27%. And I have to admit, Matt, 2 things shocked me here in my final analysis. He's only 231. I thought he was bigger on film. So he's 5'11", 231. I thought he looked like almost a Derrick Henry type player, right? 245. He's not that big. And at his pro day, 4.63 40, not the greatest long speed for a running back. 3 cone drills, 7.02, short shuttle, 4.47. He's a one-cut runner, and we saw it. He plants his foot and he blasts forward. And he does have that good contact balance. And I do believe he has a little underrated vision. He can find he can find the perimeter, get out on the wings and get upfield. NFL team's going to love the combination of bruising, power, size. They're going to draft him for a role in the NFL. I'm not sure if he ever gets the starter's job full time, but Taxi Squad Stash is a perfect assessment. And in a DFS, you might have to put him in a game. Hey, if it's week 17 and Stevenson's starting, maybe we play him in DFS, my friend. So yes, he'll have opportunity in the NFL.
All right, there you have it. Rhamondre Stevenson out of Oklahoma. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Draft Seminar. If you're watching, please make sure to give it a like. If you're listening, make sure you're subscribed. And as always,